Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at SeatGeek, the best and easiest to use ticket platform out there. They take the confusion out of buying tickets using a 0 to 10 scoring system and a green is good, red is bad color rating system so you and your loved ones get the best deal possible. So whether it's going to see our beloved Redlegs at Great American Ballpark, the Bengals over at Paycor, FC Cincinnati, one of the area college teams, or pretty much anything in between, use promo code Riverfront at checkout and receive $20 off your first order. Click the link in the show notes to download the app and get started. That's Riverfront, one word, for $20 off.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome to NBA Friday, part of Riverfront U, part of the Riverfront Podcast Network, part of the Patreon, where you also can become one of our friends and family members at riverfront.com and at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. If you're checking us out on YouTube and are not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We are literally, as we record, 9 subscriptions away from 1,000. So if you could be generous enough to take 2 seconds of your time to help us with that, that would greatly be appreciated. I'm Tim Daniel. He's Sean Mackey. Parker, unfortunately, not with us tonight due to some freezing issues because it's ridiculous. It's not necessary how cold it is right now in our area. It's really not necessary. So
It's an understatement.
Yeah. So Sean and I are going to be here, and Sean, since we recorded last week, a lot of things happened, and there was one trade particular that we're just don't care to talk about because I don't think anyone here wants to get our analysis on Marvin Bagley to the Wizards. But other than that, there's still a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We finally have one of those good news weeks.
Yeah, we really did. So we're going to kind of get into a couple of things there. We're obviously going to dive into the Siakam to the Pacers trade. Spoiler alert, I love it. We'll talk about that a little bit. This week's flashback segment, we are going to go through the Naismith Hall of Fame candidates this class because my favorite player of all time is finally on the ballot. This time I did intentionally mean to talk about him and wear my jersey, unlike last week when I drafted Shaquille O'Neal and forgot that I put on my Shaquille O'Neal jersey and snaked my way into the pick. Well, that's time and age. And then our draft tonight, should we do what Parker and I do when you're not here? Should we just do 10 rounds for this one? Just go back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. We could do it.
Figure that makes up for it. We're going to be doing our all-time basketball movies. And then I thought about my draft for next week, and I really wanted Parker to be here to share it, but I will wait till he's here because I think you both will appreciate it. All right. So we also got a bunch of submissions from the Patreon showing us their all-star ballots. We're going to go through those as well and discuss them. I have a feeling everything's pretty similar. You know what I realized, Sean, when I was putting my ballot together and I was getting everyone's within the group? The league's fucking stacked.
It's too stacked. It makes the all-star voting very hard. It's bad when you have great players that aren't winning necessarily, but you still want to put them on there just because of their greatness and legacies and stuff. So this year was especially tough.
Yeah, it really was. I feel like the easiest one was the East front. Let's display them. We'll go through them all. Then we'll talk about the topics. I feel like the East front court was the most easy thing ever for me. I don't know how you felt. So this is my ballot here if you're watching on YouTube. On the East side, I went Embiid, Giannis, and Jason Tatum for my backcourt. For my front court. And then my backcourt, I went Damian Lillard and Tyrese Halliburton. I know Halliburton's hurt at the moment, but I would say if he has any possibility he could play, he will, considering the games in Indiana. And also we're back to East versus West, which actually makes me very happy. Western Conference got a little tricky. So if you see on mine, if you're watching, I went Jokic, Davis, LeBron, Shea, and De'Aaron Fox. And I think this is the first time that both players were healthy in probably about 7 or 8 years. I did not have Curry and Durant.
Yeah.
And Durant for sure. If he starts, there's no argument. He's been great. But
he might.
Yeah, and he might. Sean's end, he goes basically everything except for a couple differences. Had the same exact Eastern Conference, so Giannis, Embiid, Tatum, Lillard, Halliburton. West Conference, he goes Anthony Davis, LeBron, Chet Holmgren, which I'm really excited to hear why you went that route. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards. So neither of us go Durant or Curry.
Yeah. I wanted to put Curry in, but I'm like, I can't. Like, they're 12th. They've won they've won only 3 of the last 10 games. So I'm not not that he's not playing out of his mind like he always is. He's always going to be good.
Right.
But I can't do it this year. And you know me, I'm not a big Jokic guy. I'm not going to deny his greatness, and I'm not trying to make this I'm not trying to make this a hot button issue by any stretch at all. But the Thunder are just having a phenomenal season this year. I know they're tied with the Nuggets. They are the team that I'm going to be rooting for, in the West this year, with the exception of the Lakers. Like, I want to see both of those teams clash out this year. But Chet, in my mind, and we can debate this all day and night, but Chet's the rookie of the year. I love Wemby, but I think you got to win some games. You got to make your team better. And anytime I look at a rookie of the year, is he making the team better? Chet's an all-star this year, like in his first season, in my opinion.
I agree. I think both guys are an all-star.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited, for the playoffs this year to see what he can do. But I think he's just that piece that they've really needed, and he's fit like a glove on that team. And I think he's just played his butt off, and that's why I voted for him over Jokic. It's also every year it's Jokic and Luka, and it's like sometimes I just got to break up the monotony of the same thing. Like, you and I have the same Eastern Conference, starters, and I think those are the perfect. I think it's a perfect ballad in terms of the East, but the West is a little bit more up for grabs just because the league's so stacked. So, and I put Anthony Edwards in there as well. I think the Timberwolves have had a great.
I love that.
I think he plays with so much heart, and he cares, and I love that team too. So, and I can't put Cat over Anthony Davis. I feel like Anthony Davis is so good. Like, I know that sounds crazy, and some people might put Rudy Gobert on there, but I can't.
Again, the league is stacked.
Too stacked.
Yeah. So I'll go through some of the submissions we got. Good friend Kevin Lynch. His Eastern Conference is Joel Embiid, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, and Tyrese Maxey, which love.
Oh, love that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Maxey. Huge fan. He's been unreal.
Maxey will be voted in. I think.
He'll make it. I agree.
He's going to make it.
Yeah, for sure. Western Conference went Jokic, LeBron, Durant, Luka, and Shea, and said, I feel pretty good about these. You could totally argue against LeBron, Durant, but what they're doing at their age is so impressive, which is true. And as good as AD has been, I just have to put LeBron over him. I think if you have to pick one or the other, I get it. Sure. I like that ballot. Hunter Martin, other good friend, he's at the UK game tonight, so hopefully he gets to see a W for his team. Western Conference, he goes. Also, Hunter's a big Minnesota fan. As I read this team, you'll understand. So,
is he a big Minnesota fan, or is he a big Cat fan?
Big Minnesota fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like text, will message me in the group, and we'll be like, I'm so happy I don't have to watch D'Angelo Russell. And I'm like, yeah, shut up.
I agree with him there.
Yeah. All right. His Western Conference is Jokic, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and Luka, which Minnesota's been great. So there's just no way in hell LeBron's not starting. But you can vote for guys, and even though they're not going to start, they might get enough fan votes to be a reserve, because when it comes to the coach, the player decision. So I can respect it. His Eastern Conference, Joel Embiid, Giannis, Jason Tatum, like all of us, Halliburton, and Trae Young. He's the first person to have a guard that's not wearing number 0 in the East.
Yeah.
Just put that together. We got 2 more. Sydney goes, like all of us, Jokic, Davis, LeBron, and then her backcourt was Luka and Shea. Respect it. She broke the Halliburton run.
Oh,
She went Donovan Mitchell, who has been really good, and the Cavs are playing really well of late. They're playing really, really well. This is a fun ballot. I really like this one. So Mitchell, Maxey, love it. Embiid, Giannis, and you ready for this one?
Go for it.
Paolo Banchero.
Oh,
I love thinking out of the box.
I know. I mean, well, they got the 8th seed right now. They're not, they're gonna be right there, man. I'm excited to see what they can do, and I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to face the Magic in a 7-game series. Be honest with you.
I wouldn't either. I love it. I do think Franz will probably get the edge over him.
Oh yeah. I think Franz has been playing out of his mind, man.
Yeah, he's been great. But I love this ballot. I like the thought process behind it. And then Ben, good brother Ben Brown, of course, has the same one as Kevin, but since there was multiples I read, I'll read it again. Jokic, Durant, LeBron, Shea, Luka in the West. Okay. In the East, Halliburton, the big Pacers fan, so of course, Maxey, Antetokounmpo, Embiid, Tatum. I like all these ballots. I like all these players except for, I'm bored of Luka and Trae Young, obviously, as we've talked about multiple times. But I think the group had a lot of fun interactions there, a lot of conversations. So I dig it. And, all of us are going to get at least 1 or 2 guys, right? So.
Oh yeah. There were very few wrong answers this year.
There really were. It's not like the year D'Angelo Russell made it in the East, and we were like, I guess they just needed a guy.
Or the year that Andrew Bynum made it.
I forgot he started
because he was the best center in the West that year because the center position and that's when they changed it. Yeah. They were like, Andrew Bynum can't make another All-Star team. We're not going to allow that.
Yeah,
he was good though.
He was really good. Yeah,
he was good when Kareem was coaching him in particular. Like he really kind of like unlocked another player. But anyways, getting off topic.
Yeah, and then who else was like? There's been a lot of fun. Like the year Powell and Marc Gasol both started.
Very fun.
That was cool.
Love those Gasol boys.
Yeah, especially because Powell started as a member of the Bulls. That was nice.
Yeah.
So,
Sarah, my wife always says she always liked Pau Gasol because when they asked him why he came to Chicago, and he's like, well, this is just a first-class city. He's like, and you guys have theater and art, and I just love it. And she goes, he seems like a real classy dude. And I was like, he is a classy guy.
Yeah, I was looking at his basketball reference page the other day, and I totally forgot about that weird, like last year of his career where he for a short time he signed with the Bucks.
Yeah, he finished.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah. So that was kind of fascinating. But yeah, those are the All-Star ballots. I think we get the answers next week for the starters, and then like a couple days after that for the reserves. I'm so glad we're not doing a draft this year. I thought the first year was like great. I was like, I'm really excited about this, and that ran its course so fast. And then last year there wasn't even like a draft special. It was like a pickup game where they made the picks like an hour before. I was like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm old school. If they would just bring back like the 1992 All-Star jerseys, that would just be awesome. I hope they actually have like some decent jerseys this year.
It's leaked.
They do. Okay, it's already leaked. Okay.
Yeah, they look good.
Good.
Very Indiana Pacers. So
okay.
Or Indiana Hoosiers on the West Conference team.
I'll take it. I like East versus West. I'm a traditionalist that way.
Yeah, me too. I didn't think I wanted it anymore, but once we like didn't have it, I was like, okay, I'm good. Bring it back. Let's get to the Bulls Ring of Honor, which I don't know if you saw how Barkley described it. Not just the Krause moment, but he basically said it was just a total nightmare. And he's like, first off, Michael, Scotty, and Dennis aren't there, and you can get into. So I guess Dennis tried to be there, but weather got in the way. And
maybe
Michael and Scotty both just so happened to not show up somehow.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't be there tonight. Like,
Yeah. I'm sure they text each other to say like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry I won't make it." "Oh, I won't make it either."
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
That whole thing after Jordan, if you're having like an actual Hall of Fame induction for your team, which this is what the Bulls are doing,
Mhm.
obviously you have to bring in Michael Jordan he's the first one you put on there, obviously. He's
Right,
the
yeah.
most decorated athlete in the history of the world. So it's like you have to have him there. If he doesn't show, you got a problem.
Yeah, don't do it. Just
Like
reschedule.
I would have deliberately staggered out him and Pippen. I would have done like
Yeah.
a couple different eras. Like next year, Pippen could be the guy. You
Yeah.
know?
And everyone's
I
okay
mean,
with that.
and we could have done Rodman and Jordan this year, and then Horace Grant and Scotty next year, because apparently from what I understand, Horace Grant is also not speaking to Michael Jordan right now. They're also on the outs.
Yeah, I think The Last Dance did more harm for Michael Jordan's career, friendships. I shouldn't say career, no one gives a shit anymore, but than good as far as like his teammates.
Yeah,
I did think it was cool they honored the 96 team as a whole. I thought that was
yeah,
neat.
they had
It was,
to.
it was cool to see Luke Longley back and Ron Harper back, and seeing Kukoc get honored.
How good does Luke Longley look, man?
Yeah, man, with the long hair.
Long hair and the beard and the glasses. He looks great, man. He looks great.
Did you have you watched that documentary that came out on him shortly after?
I
I
have
haven't watched it
not.
yet.
I have not. I am interested to watch it because he was one of those guys that, obviously as a Bulls fan for, a number of years, I rooted for that guy. I thought he always did a really solid job, but he's definitely like the odd man out on that team. I mean, you could make there's so many more interesting players on there. Ron Harper,
Yeah.
great shooting guard who had to become a point guard and become a defense first guy and buy into that. Like he's got a little bit of a story. Steve Kerr, who made the shot. But Luke Longley, he's just there, man. He was there for the ride.
Yeah, and especially like you're the center for the Bulls, so it's like, but you're next to Dennis Rodman, so you don't have to worry about getting rebounds.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, he
kind
did
of
a great job.
Just kind of fill the paint. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Shaq's still gonna drop 40 on you, but
Did you watch any of those videos the Bulls post where they're interviewing all those guys?
I watched a few of them.
They were good.
I did watch some of the ending remarks after the incident occurred.
Steve Kerr was great in the press conference.
Yeah, always is, man. He's great in everything he does. Love Steve.
Yeah, me too. So for those who don't know, which you probably know if you're at this point, they honored Jerry Krause. And again, this is another thing The Last Dance probably messed up for the Bulls fan base. Because it's all about how Jerry Krause is ending the historic Chicago Bulls run. And so they honor Jerry Krause as a member of the Ring of Honor. And guess what? Rightfully so. They won 6 NBA championships while he was in charge. Okay.
You got to do it.
Yeah. So as they're kind of going through, they list everybody. They have a cool like little graphic, and they show them on camera. Like, they show them on the Jumbotron. They get to Thelma Krause because obviously Jerry passed in 2017, and she gets booed. They booed a widow, not Jerry Krause. Like it wasn't like Jerry Krause was there for them to boo. They booed a widow,
and she was also like in a wheelchair too. Correct?
Yeah. She was, like,
don't
crying.
Don't ever boo a widow in a wheelchair for any such reason, unless maybe she killed your family. But
I don't think Thelma Krause did that. No,
I don't think she did either. I think the hate for Jerry Krause, I think, is kind of unfounded. Jerry Krause's ego towards the end of his tenure as general manager of the Bulls is what undid probably another 2 seasons. They probably could have, competed at a high level. But would I change any of that? No, I wouldn't. You never know. But I mean, you look at a guy who drafted very well, traded very well, took a chance on Dennis Rodman, drafted Tony Kukoc and put a lot of stock in him coming over. He was a smart dude. He put in a great team, and he didn't do everything that Michael Jordan wanted him to. And that's what pissed off Michael Jordan. But if that's the guy who is the architect of one of the greatest dynasties in sports history, you cannot boo him just because in later years he did not get along with the coach or the star players. You can't do that. If you want to boo anyone right now, Chicago Bulls fans, I would boo the current regime. If they would have walked them out on there, you could have booed them. Jerry Krause, you applaud his legacy because what he did for that fan base, but don't boo. I mean, what have they done since he left? They've had a few good seasons, a few good winning seasons, so don't go out and boo that. It was one of the lowest moments in Chicago sports history. Just absolutely low.
Yeah, it really was. Also, so one of the things Barkley said, he's like, why would you do this? Like, and have 72 people get inducted in the first class. He's like you said, it's like, split it up a little bit. Even if it's like, I understand first class, do Jordan and Pippen, no matter what's going on with them. I get that. I totally get it. If it was in my hands, I would do the same exact thing. But dude, like this is gonna be a yearly thing. Like you have plenty of time to add people. You have the situation where you can add. No, look at the current group of guys, like this era of this 2010s era of the Bulls. Derrick Rose is gonna be in the Ring of Honor. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler's gonna be in the Ring of Honor. Luol Deng, Joakim Noah, maybe Taj Gibson. I think he has a case. Kirk Heinrich for sure gonna be in there. For sure.
Oh yeah. These are all guys that are gonna be on there. I wish they would have staggered it out. They could have went to Scotty and said, look, we know you're not on speaking terms with Michael. Obviously, we can't have you there first because that's gonna kill the ego of Michael Jordan, and he's just not going to show up ever. So you got to say, look, next year we're going to make it all about you. You will be the top guy next year. We're gonna divide this out, and you induct 5 guys. You put Bob Love in, you put Michael in, you put Krause in, Phil, maybe Steve
Artis
Kerr,
Gilmore,
Artis Gilmore, Ron Artest, obviously, Elton Brand. Yeah. So you do that and you stagger it out. And it's like next year you painted yourself into a corner. You blew your load on all of those guys.
Yeah.
And now every year is going to be less and less exciting because of it. So they just poorly executed, poorly planned, just a bad night. I mean, total laughing stock moment for the Chicago Bulls organization, and we've had a lot of those lately.
Yeah. Like I love Luol Deng, and I love everything he did for the Chicago Bulls. But when the day comes and it's like Luol Deng's the headliner for the Bulls Ring of Honor class, kind of feels like a wet fart.
But it shouldn't. It shouldn't, because if you're a Chicago Bulls fan, you know everything that guy brought every single game. And he was, at one point, I would say he was a top 3, top 4 shooting guard in the NBA.
Yeah. I love Luol. Would absolutely love to have a Luol jersey in my closet.
Yeah. Just not an Adidas one.
No, definitely not. The only Adidas one I have left is I have the Cavs championship jersey when they beat Golden State.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one I have left. Oh no, I lied. I have that LeBron on court Miami Heat.
Oh man, you got an Adidas one of that too?
Yeah, it's the only. I mean, he didn't play a Nike there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as far as like the final current topic, let's just kind of, because this might be something we dive into for a little bit. Let's talk about Pascal Siakam going to Indiana.
Yeah. Finally getting out of Toronto.
Yeah, I think Masai Ujiri finally being like, we can probably get things for these guys. And realistically, let's be honest, Toronto's done a really good job of these 2 trades. A really good job. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. Today in this trade, obviously you get Bruce Brown, which you can flip for something, or you can hold on to. I have a feeling Bruce Brown's going to want to play. You got Kier Lewis Jr. sneakily in this draft. I mean, in this trade.
Yeah.
So, not that I think he's a great player by any means, but I think he's a guy who could potentially turn into a rotation player. I think Toronto's done really well, and they might still make a couple more moves. You know, Dennis Schroeder's still out there, so that's someone they could potentially move for something. But on the Indiana side, which is the most important side here, obviously, when they get Tyrese Halliburton back, I love this group. And, you know, Bill Simmons has talked about this a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm starting to see it more and more. You know, when you look at this group, it's like, well, they're still not going to start Ben Mathurin. Okay, he's going to be there in crunch time on the floor, and that means more than who walks out and gets their name introduced. I'm sorry, it does. Who are the 5 guys I can count on when I need to win a game? Ben Mathurin's one of those 5 for them.
Yeah.
Case closed. I really like this team, and I've talked about it all year. I really have enjoyed them. I think they've played really, really well. I mean, they won the East in the in-season tournament, and now they're going to be such a tough out for teams because of their dynamic offensively. And you know, you think about the way they're going to be able to set screens with Turner and Siakam together, the way that they're going to be able to kind of have Siakam get more shot opportunities, having a guy like Tyrese Halliburton who's just so fast and so elusive, and can get any guy the ball at any point, threads the needle so well, how many open dunks he's going to have there. And Sean, if you think about this, so going back to that crunch time team, you're going to go Halliburton, Mathurin, Obi, Siakam, and Miles Turner. That's really, really good.
Not just good, but fun. Like, this is a really fun team. They've been in such a need of a large stretch big. Obviously he was the top of it, the trade talk. If you're looking for a stretch big in the league, this is an NBA champion, a guy who's already won the ring. He knows how to get there, what it takes. And I think this was the most logical place for him. There was so much like smoke about him going to Dallas, and I was just, oh my god, just the thought of him going to Dallas just made me so bored. Like, I don't like anything that team is doing. We've talked about it, ourselves and Parker, we've talked about it a bunch of times, how we just don't really like how that team's constructed out of just the 2 stars that they have. But the Pacers, they've really lucked out here. They are doing some smart stuff. I think getting 3 firsts for Toronto was huge.
Big time.
I love that. I love the fire sale that they have turned out this year. They have done a great job of getting back serious assets. This is how you do it, people. Like, this is how, if you decide that your team is not going to make it very far, or that's as far as you're going to go, you've topped out. This is the way to get rid of your players, your good players, and get good assets back. They've done a phenomenal job of that. And the Pacers they're a contending team. So, I mean, they're 23-17. I'm looking forward, to I think it's next Thursday. They're playing the 76ers at home. This is a possible playoff preview that's going to be coming up, and I'm really, really curious to see how they're going to match up now. If they get Halliburton back, and how long is Halliburton out now for?
I think another week or so.
Another week or so. So he might not play next week, but you get him back. I think this is going to be with Mathurin and, like you said, Obi. And Miles Turner. I think this is just a very, very funly constructed team, and they're going to do some damage because Tyrese Halliburton is incredible. And Pascal Siakam, I feel like he's a perfect running mate for him. He's a perfect piece for this team.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that kind of ability, that kind of game plan for them is going to be so awesome, and I'm excited to see what they do. So I think the big question that comes from this now is basically, where does this put them in the East? So I don't think I'm putting them above Boston, Milwaukee, Philly by any means. But Cleveland, they're playing really well right now. Don't be wrong. Are they better than the Cavs at full strength on paper? I think so.
Yeah, I honestly would put them above the Cavs. They're only 2 games behind them as it is anyway.
Yeah. Miami?
Yeah, I'd put them ahead of Miami.
Okay. Yeah. And then, New York. Yeah, I think they're better than New York. I think they're better than
New
Orlando.
York and Magic. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I would put them at number 4 right now in the East.
Home court advantage in the first round. That would be.
Yeah.
I would totally go to game 1. It'd be awesome.
I mean, if we get I think a nice old Pacers Heat
Yes.
first round would be a lot of fun. Pacers 76ers is gonna get nasty.
Yes, it would.
That's
It
gonna
absolutely
be
would.
I don't, if I'm the 76ers, they've already beat me once this year. I might be a little bit worried. I don't think I'd want to run into the Pacers, and also just great fans, great playoff environment. If you've ever been to an Indiana Pacers playoff game,
Twice.
Yeah, they are some devout fans, and some of the environments I've been there have been some of the best times I've ever been at live sports. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. They have a lot to look forward to this spring.
Yeah, I'm excited. And then we have that Laker game that we're going to. So that'll be neat. I'm a little pissed now that we didn't get our tickets yet because it probably went up in price now. But what can you do?
Is what it is.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's out of the current stuff. I don't know if we necessarily need to dive into anything else. I don't really care to have a deep discussion on how Kyrie tried to recruit LeBron to get back together. So let's go ahead and get to our flashback this week is going to be kind of unique because even though it's a flashback as far as the talent involved, it is in fact about the 2024 Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame class. And why I wanted to bring this up more than anything, Sean, is because my all-time favorite player, Anthony Penny Hardaway, was a late addition to the candidates for this class. And this is an awesome class. So I'm just not going to go through each and every name just because there's a lot of people that can be voted in. But here's some of the candidates that are also going to be on the list. The 2008 U.S. Olympic Redeem Team, which that Netflix documentary is incredible if you haven't watched it. Chauncey Billups, Finals MVP of the 2004 NBA Finals. Vince Carter, he's in. Tom Chambers, Michael Cooper, referee legend Joey Crawford, Terry Cummings, Walter Davis, also a late addition, former Phoenix Sun, former North Carolina Tar Heel, Lou Henson, Marquise Johnson, Milwaukee Bucks great, Bill Laimbeer, Jim Larinaga, Sean Marion, Dick Motta, and Reggie Theus, Buck Williams are all some of the highlights. There's plenty of more names. Those are just some of the highlights there. But I don't recall how many people get into a group. I should probably look at when last year when Wade was inducted, that Wade Kobe class. No, that was different classes, but you know what I mean. But first off, I saw the thing LeBron said about like, how come we're allowed to put current coaches in the Hall of Fame but not current players? Like, I get what he's saying. I don't think he's wrong. Like, you could probably go ahead and put LeBron and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry in the Hall of Fame and no one's going to bat an eye.
Yeah.
But I think this is a fun class. I really like that. I like that they induct the Olympic teams in a group. Yeah. Why isn't the 96 team better be inducted? If they're not already, they better make it happen.
They should be.
That team ruled.
Yeah.
They were awesome. The only reason people don't remember them is because they were the team after 92.
Yeah.
So, but they were great. And also the best Olympic jerseys of all time. So Vince Carter for sure in. I mean, Vinsanity, you name it, the highlight reels, everything about him. North Carolina Tar Heel.
The only thing that would even remotely drag down, I mean, Vince is going to get in. I think he's a Hall of Famer. The only thing that I think could ever, run against him is he just played so long and he just dragged his shooting, his points per game percentage down more and more each year. I think he ended up his career shooting, or he ended up with averaging 16.7 points a game. And you look back at that and it's like, wow, that's not that much, but it's like, yeah, but that he played for so freaking long, 20 years, 8-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, slam dunk contest, never got the chip, but, in my eyes, definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree. So Penny,
Yeah.
His case is
Interesting.
it is, because obviously anyone who knows his career, his legacy is that for about 8 years, he was one of the best basketball players in the universe. No one could touch his skill set. He was unbelievable. And then the injuries started catching up. Obviously in 98, only plays about 19 games. 99, they have the comeback in the lockout year. He obviously is sick of everything going on in Orlando. They send him to Phoenix. Phoenix, he has his first season, he has a healthy year. He's playing the shooting guard with Jason Kidd. Goes to the Knicks, has like a total in his 2.5 years in the Knicks, didn't even make 82 games as a whole.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. He played 83 Knicks games.
Yeah.
And then, of course, is out for a year to recover, comes back and tries to make it a year with the Heat. And that's the terrible Heat team that after they won the title, that was just like awful. So they move on from him. But we say all this as the guy who is on one of the most exciting basketball teams of all time.
Yeah.
And
yeah. If you weren't there, if you're a young kid, playing 2K or looking, trying to figure out like what the legacy of a guy like Penny Hardaway, it's complicated because, I always say, go ahead and watch, This Magic Moment, the ESPN 30 for 30, which is a phenomenal, or go back and read the OG Grantland piece that they did about them.
that's so good.
Which came out before them, which is basically, it interviews pretty much everyone. That's kind of what got the documentary jump started years later. But at one point, Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway were as popular or arguably more popular than Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
It's
And
true.
we're talking in the heat of Bulls mania and Michael Jordan coming back and everything. They were equally as popular. At one point, Penny's shoes were, probably on pace to same pace as the Jordans were in terms of sales. He was, and I'm not saying that shoe sales and popularity make up for anything, but he was a phenomenal athlete. He was a one of a kind. There were no 6'7" point guards just walking around in the NBA in 1995. There were not, and he was the heir to Magic Johnson, basically, like the next great big point guard. And him and Shaq were such a dynamic duo, and they just had such a fun team. And they took a very, very young Magic team to the NBA Finals in 1995. They got smacked, but they did look dominant in that playoffs, and they ousted the Chicago Bulls, and almost everyone thought that, they would still have a chance. Michael hadn't lost in the playoffs in so long, and his legacy, looking back, career averaging, I think he averaged 15 points a game. He was a 4-time All-Star, two-time NBA All NBA first team. He was All NBA third team 1 year. He was on the All Rookie team. His jersey was retired in Memphis. He had a great career there.
That plays a part. College games does play a part.
And college games do play a part. Yeah, he was just just a phenomenal athlete. So, the problem is, Tim, if you put Penny in,
this is what I was about to get to.
If you put Penny in, that's going to open the door for a lot of other players that have very similar stories, like possibly one Derrick Rose.
So, I was going to say, so you put Penny Hardaway in, and Tracy McGrady's in. Tracy McGrady was a 3-time scoring champ, obviously, but also a guy that had a ton of injuries, had a hard time staying on the court for a while, had to go play overseas. But guess what? He's in. And I'm not trying to say that's the reason Penny Hardaway should be in, but yes, this is a slippery slope if you do. And look, he's like I said, my favorite player of all time. My all-time favorite player. So yes, of course I want him to get in. But if you put Penny Hardaway in, then Brandon Roy is in. Then Derrick Rose is in. And you have to because that is the precedent you set. And I'm not against those guys being in. I love Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy was amazing. So,
well, and you can also and this might be an unpopular opinion, and I'm going to throw this out there. A a lot of players are in the Hall of Fame because what they did for the game. They might have been a trailblazer from another country. Perfect example. We can just throw Tony Kukoc out there.
Mhm.
One of the greatest European basketball players of all time. Was he as good as Penny Hardaway was at his peak? Did he ever make an all-star team? No. Is he in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, he is, because of what he did for the game. And now, is he more decorated? He did have 3 championships. He did win 6th man of the year. He was a 3-time Euro League champion. He was a 1-time a FIBA World Championship MVP. I mean, he did stuff, but you put Penny over there, in Europe. What does he do to those people? What does he do to those teams? So,
God.
I mean,
we saw a glimpse of it in '96.
Yeah, you think about what and there's a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are what if all-stars, and sometimes I feel like if you had just a phenomenal few years and you ended up getting hurt and it wasn't your fault and you didn't get kicked out of the league, maybe we should be reevaluating like a Brandon Roy. I'm not saying, do I think that Brandon Roy should get in over Penny Hardaway? No.
Right. That's not what I'm saying either.
No, I mean, Brandon Roy didn't make it to any NBA finals. He didn't, he was a league changer for a couple of years. It was a short time. It felt way longer than it was.
Hearing Kobe talk about Brandon Roy and just how good he was is like awesome. It's such fun. Yeah.
But one thing I would like to say about this class, besides obviously Penny being the one that we're both very stoked about, but how the hell is Michael Cooper not in the Hall of Fame?
I know.
5-time NBA champion, defensive player of the year in 87, 5-time all defensive team, 3-time all defensive second team. Also a 2-time WNBA champion coach.
That's right. Yeah, that might be what gets him in.
Coach of the year. There's no reason why Michael Cooper is not in the Hall of Fame. Like, I thought he was already there, to be honest with you. I figured he'd already gotten in, but it's like, God, I look at somebody who's deserving on that list and he goes right to the top.
Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of further your other point. So here's the guy who's in the Hall of Fame. And before I give you his name, I'm just going to read this off real quick. 468 career games. Penny Hardaway at 704. Career average of 13.3 points per game. Penny Hardaway's at 15.2. Does have the rebound advantage at 10.5, but because of his position, and 3.4 assists a game. Do you have any guess who that could be?
Can you give me a team?
Blazers.
Sabonis?
Also Celtics.
Throw it at me.
Bill Walton.
Bill Walton. Okay, yeah.
Bill Walton has these stats that are nowhere near Penny Hardaway's, but deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because of UCLA. He was an MVP when he was at his episode, but he never played a full season. Literally, the most games he played in a year was 80 and 86 with the Celtics. But other than that, he had 1 year at the Clippers. He played 67. 1 year at the Blazers, he played 65. But he was so dominant at his time.
Yeah.
You can't tell me he doesn't deserve to be in. And those stats are worse than Penny's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bill got the job done though. He won a title at the peak of his powers, and he became a fantastic role player.
He did.
He won an MVP. He was the 6th man of the year years after he won the MVP when he was on the Celtics. 2-time NCAA champion. I mean, you look at what he accomplished in his career. I mean, he didn't play long, but he made the most out of every kind of situation. I wouldn't say that Penny did the exact same, and not all of it is necessarily his fault. The other teams he ended up years later were just kind of weird. So
yeah. That Phoenix team, though they made the playoffs, is weird.
They were that was a weird team. It was kind of like one of those things that was like, you felt like it was definitely the end of an era. And you kind of, I remember when it happened, I remember watching one of those games at my grandmother's house and just going, I don't know if I like this at all. I don't
I know what you mean.
It doesn't feel
The
good.
jersey looked cool as hell with Hardaway on the back, but other than that,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I will say this: if Terry Cummings gets in this and Penny Hardaway doesn't, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, but didn't Terry win a title?
Nope.
He did not win a title. He went to the NBA Finals.
2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, one and 83 All-Rookie.
Oh, rookie. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't
But he did play like 19 years.
Very, very similar though. Made it to made it to some NBA Finals games. So, I mean, very similar situation. I feel like if you put Cummings in over, I mean, from a cultural standpoint, we're taking Penny all the way. He was a game changer that way. So, I think you kind of actually have to put that in there just because he was such a cultural phenomenon.
Little Penny was so huge at the time.
Huge.
Like the most popular, one of the most popular commercials in the world.
Yeah, yeah. And you got Chris Rock to voice him right before he completely blew up and became Chris Rock.
I was just about to say, let's say he does get in. Is it Chris Rock or Shaquille O'Neal that inducts him?
I don't know.
Is it Chris Webber for thanks for the trade?
I don't know. I don't know who. I feel like Shaq should be the person to do it just to kind of bury the hatchet a little bit more and everything. I know they have since then, and they've talked about it and how, they both just had, huge egos at the time and competing shoe companies. There was a lot of play right there, and just, young bucks being young bucks. So, but yeah, I hope he gets in. He's well deserving. And he's your favorite player. He's probably like number 3 or 4 on my list as well. So I'm very, very stoked if he gets in.
My one thing, I wish it was like we got a 2 or 3 year heads up because I'd have gone. I'd have been.
Yeah.
I'd have been in attendance. I've always wanted to go anyway. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he gets in. So he's a finalist. So let's go.
That's a big step, man. That's a big step.
It's a big step. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So that brings us to, I guess, our regular segment of the starting 5, but we're going to do a little different this week, obviously, without Parker. We're going to go 10 deep. We're going to do our draft, our all-time favorite basketball movies. And back in the day, Sean and I used to do a little podcast called Hoop Cinema, which we should totally bring back on this channel at some point, where we would watch basketball movies and we would discuss them. If you ever find the 40 Minutes Basketball Network feed on whatever podcast app, they're all on there. The Space Jam one is hilarious. It's super funny. And then the Blue Chips one, we actually talk about why it's a good movie, even though it got really bad reviews. I call bullshit. So definitely check this out. So Sean and I are pretty on tap with this. I really tried to get Chad on here for this one, but he wasn't available. So without further ado, 10 rounds, Sean and Tim, all-time basketball movie draft. Sean, it was your draft. So you get the first pick.
All right. Well, I didn't know if you were getting the first pick or I was getting the first pick, but I'm actually going to take a film you've already mentioned. I'm actually going to take Blue Chips as in this. I think that is directed by William Friedkin, same director as The Exorcist. One of the best basketball movies ever made. So fun. So many great cameos. You had Penny Hardaway, Shaq. This was a huge movie. And Nick Nolte, that opening scene with Nick Nolte.
Oh, it's the best.
With him chewing that team. I mean, I feel like if that movie was made now, he would have been nominated for some awards. I mean, it's a really fun movie. It's a good basketball movie, and I have to take it as number 1.
I'm very mad at you that you did, but I understand.
Sure.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to take my second favorite basketball movie of all time. I'm going to go with the Spike Lee joint, He Got Game, starring Ray Allen and Denzel Washington.
Ooh. You got to. That's another one that we did a Hoop Cinema episode on years ago.
That's actually a great podcast episode. It's really good. I listened to it like a year or so ago, and I was like, we killed this.
Well, I hadn't watched He Got Game in a really long time, but I had rented it as soon as it came out on video, and I fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. Phenomenal movie. And also just the cast that they have. Looking back at what the people that they got for that movie at the time were incredible.
Rick Fox,
Rosario Dawson's in that, right?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, so incredible, and Ray Allen's great.
Yeah, and it was almost Kobe Bryant.
Could have been.
Yeah, but
Could
he
have been.
he did Moesha, so
Yeah.
All right. So since there's only
All
two of us, we're not going to snake it. So
okay. All right. This one's gonna be tough. You've taken that one off there, but I'm gonna take. I truly believe this might be the best basketball movie of all time, but it's not my favorite. Blue Chips is my favorite, but I am going to go ahead and take one of the greatest documentaries of all time. I'm taking Hoop Dreams.
nice.
This was a movie that came out in '94. It followed two young prospects from high school to becoming college basketball players, William Gates and Arthur Aggie.
Mm-hmm.
Aggie, yeah, and just one of the most like groundbreaking documentaries that was probably ever made. Phenomenal film. I believe it's in the Criterion collection now. It's a long one though, 171 minutes. But if you are, and these players go through so much over a short period of time. You get some good footage of Isaiah Thomas, who visited one of those schools during that time. Just an incredible piece of basketball cinema.
I absolutely love it. All right, so real quick, just to make sure, since this is your draft and you have the qualifier, would we count Air as a basketball movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking Air because that movie freaking rules. Matt Damon as Sonny Vaccaro, amazing. Ben Affleck as Phil Knight, fantastic. And the fact that like how they painted Michael Jordan in that movie to be like this just mysterious character. You never see the guy who's playing him. You never see his face. You just always see the back of him as he's walking around. You hear his voice at one point in the movie, and that's it. It's unreal. And like if you haven't seen it yet, it's a pretty young movie. Go home, go watch it right now.
I love Air so much. There's been very few sports movies that I've loved over the last couple of years. Moneyball is something that's really stuck out over the last couple of years. It's just I've probably watched Moneyball more than like any other movie more than once over the last couple of years. I love that film so much. It's so good. But Air is right there with that. I haven't given that a second watch yet, but I love everything about Air.
It's
and
so
one of my
good.
one of my favorite things about Air, and it's kind of a weird thing, is one of the guys from Tangerine Dream, the guys who did all those 80s soundtracks like Risky Business and Legend and Firestarter. He does the soundtrack, and they actually throw in a couple tracks from Risky Business, instrumental
That's right,
tracks.
they do, yeah.
And I think Love on a Real Train is in there. So the score is fantastic. The acting is great. And even though it's just a movie about a guy taking a chance on an athlete, it is super compelling. And that is hard to do. Like, I don't know anyone who watched that movie over the last year that was like, that was phenomenal. Everybody said it was phenomenal. Like, they were like, this is just, it's great.
Yeah.
Good pick, Tim.
Thank you. So I have so far, 3 rounds in?
You got, yes.
Okay.
So you've got. So
he got Game.
He got Game.
I took Air, but I took something between then. I took Did I take something between then?
No, I think that's all you took.
Okay, so we're 2 rounds in. All right.
We're terrible at this.
Yeah, we're not. We should probably be more organized when it comes to these.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
Round 3. What do you got?
All right, round 3. This is where it can start getting weird. So I feel like we've gotten the best movies out, so we can start having a little bit more fun with this. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and take this one's gonna be divisive. It's gonna be divisive, but I'm taking Celtic Pride, man.
You love Celtic Pride.
I love Celtic Pride. My mom loves Celtic Pride. My mom, when I was over at her house down in Florida a couple years back, I saw she had it on DVD. She had picked that up at some point, when she moved down there. But I love that. I love Dan Aykroyd. I love Daniel Stern, Damon Wayans. It's a terrible movie, an absolutely terrible, terrible feature film. But
Yes,
the
it is.
weirdest part about that movie is it is written by Judd Apatow.
Why would
Still
it be?
weird, but terrible movie, not great, but just a fun piece of 90s cinema. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, I do have a terrible movie on my board that I will take at some point, I'm sure, because I know you won't. But I am here going to take White Men Can't Jump.
Okay.
Voted by Esquire as the #1 basketball movie of all time.
That's a good pick.
Fantastic.
That's one. I didn't even that's not, I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of that one over the years. I don't think I've seen that one completely over the years, and I haven't seen the remake at all. Have you seen the remake?
Nope.
Okay.
Don't know if I want to.
Don't know if you want to. Okay. I totally understand. Totally understand.
Now I'm writing these down so I make sure we're all caught up. We probably should have done that from the jump, but
Probably. Am I up again?
You sure are.
All right. Well, I waited for this one because I knew you weren't going to pick it. And it's not only... I'll be completely honest with you. This is my favorite movie on this entire list.
Okay.
It is my favorite movie on this entire list. I don't think it's better than the ones that I named, but I'm taking Teen Wolf.
Oh, nice.
I love it. It's such a classic. The scene with him, surfing on the van to Surfing USA by the Beach Boys, the dynamic of the hot cheerleader now liking the popular Wolf and him neglecting his best friend who also appears to be in love with him. It's such a classic concept, and it is such a stupid movie, and I love it. I love it. Anytime it's on television, I stop doing what I'm doing and I watch it. I love it.
Very nice. That's a good one. I also love Teen Wolf, so I'm not mad at it. All right. I guess I have another drama here. Which is fascinating because we're talking basketball movies. But you left this for me, and I had to take it. Love and Basketball is unbelievable.
Okay.
It's so freaking good. Esquire had that as the #2 basketball movie of all time. So
really,
when I did my research,
basketball.
Yeah, actually, my wife watched that movie and really liked it.
That's the one with Omar Epps, correct?
Yeah, he's not a good basketball player whatsoever. They have some very high serious editing for that movie.
Okay. All right. So am I down to my final pick here? Is this it?
Sean, we're going 10 rounds.
We're going 10 rounds.
Did you forget that we had that whole conversation twice?
I thought that you said we were going 10 deep and it was just going to be 5 and 5. That's for some reason that's where my brain.
No, that's just a normal draft. Like,
oh, okay. All right. Well, man, I feel like I got a lot of things to talk about then.
Yeah, I'm winning for sure right now, just so we're clear.
You're like, Sean, you took Celtic pride. Yeah. With your third pick. He's like, I took air, it was okay.
He got game, air, White Man Can't Jump, and Love and Basketball. I am smoking you right now. This is Warriors right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. You know what? But Blue Chips, my guy, and Hoop Dreams. Come on. Give me some credit here, Tim.
That's true. They're great. They're absolutely great.
I took Teen Wolf because it was fun. And
I know, I guess they're taking fun movies.
Okay, yeah. So, all right.
I will say, So I will say real quick, when Chad, when you listen to this, we're not taking Hoosiers. That movie stinks.
Yeah, I've never watched Hoosiers. Never seen it,
dude.
Never.
So you and I almost did a pod on it. So I watched it again. I took a bunch of notes on my phone. At one point, I'm like, literally, there's a note on my phone that said, "Why am I still watching this?"
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with a deep cut here, and this is one this is one of my favorite movies from when I was a child. And when I say when I was a child, I was 12 years old when I saw this, when it was on home video. And it is a deep cut, and it is about and a lot of people might not know it, but it is the movie that introduced me to Don Cheadle.
Okay, I know where you're going.
Rebound: The Legend of Earl the Goat, Manigoat. This was the HBO television film that came out in '96. It was directed by Eric LaSalle, which is crazy to me. Mr. Soul Glow himself. But it starred Don Cheadle, who played Earl Manigoat, who was I guess he got popular because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when they asked him on the night of his retirement, who was the greatest player you ever played against, and he's like, I got to pick the GOAT. And I think, that's kind of where that, I think, kind of started the whole GOAT thing. Obviously it went into greatest of all time, but like everybody was like, who the hell's that guy? And he was a great street ball player that grew up in an inner city area and ended up getting hooked on drugs and eventually kind of ended up falling out. But Eric LaSalle's in it. James Earl Jones is in it.
I've not seen this movie, so
yeah, it's a really, really great basketball movie. Huge fan, but like I said, I had never seen Don Cheadle in anything before that, and this was in 1996. So I feel like I've been following his career for a very long time because of that one movie.
I like it. Well, I gotta take my first crap movie.
Go.
Because I love it so much, and I know you do not love it, and it's so terrible, but I love it so much because of what it means to my childhood. I gotta take Space Jam.
I'm honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest
6 rounds.
with you.
It'll be 6 rounds to take Space Jam.
I thought you were gonna go round 1, and you were gonna be like, well, he took Blue Chips. I'm taking Space Jam, But
I thought about it, but
my wife likes Space Jam. She watched that quite a bit when she was growing up. It's so much better than the new one, though. It's so much better than the new one.
I did not expect that to be the case because LeBron is such a much better actor than Michael Jordan was. And it certainly was much better.
So bad. Okay.
Also, Hoop Cinema on that. I should just find those Hoop Cinema episodes, rip them off that feed, and just put them all up as one feed. That's what I should do.
Yeah, that's what you should do. There's some great talks in those. So, all right. So what are we? This is this round 7 then?
Round 7.
All right. I'm taking another 90s gem, and this was another film that I watched many, many times, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for it, but just because of my love for it and my love for Frank Langella as an actor, I'm picking Eddie, starring one Whoopi Goldberg. It's such a stupid movie. Such a lady wins a contest, and the Knicks are terrible, just like they usually are.
I was going to say, let's be honest, if one team was going to do that contest, it would be the Knicks.
It would be the Knicks, and they end up making as a publicity stunt. They make her the coach, and basically they want her to totally tank the team out. But then she ends up gaining the respect of all the players. John Sally was in the movie. He was one of the players in it. Malik Sealy played the main character, the late Malik Sealy. He's great. Mark Jackson was in it. Rick Fox started his acting career with this. Greg Ostertag. Dennis Farina played a coach in the game. Frank Langella played William Wild Bill Burgess, who was the owner of the team and strangely started dating Whoopi Goldberg around the time this movie came out. But have a lot of love for it. Total flop, but thought it was a great movie. Whoopi got nominated for a Razzie for it.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to me. And I feel like my team is just a little too serious. So Space Jam's kind of like the fun guy in the locker room, poking everybody in the side to irritate them. But I'm going to have to go with the aforementioned, we just discussed in the last segment, the Netflix documentary, The Redeem Team. It is awesome. It's a lot. Like, for those who haven't seen it, it talks a lot about the 2008 team. Obviously, talks about how those guys were so pissed off about 2004, and they convinced Kobe to play with him, and Kobe setting the tone. Deep dives into the Spain game, which I don't know if you guys remember the Spain game from that 2008 Olympics. It's one of the greatest basketball games I've ever seen. It's unbelievably good. So, 1, watch that movie. 2, go rewatch that game.
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one. Well, since we're gonna go down down that route, now we set some parameters before we did this. We couldn't do full documentary series.
Yeah, we can't do The Last Dance because it's like 10 hours long.
It's 10 hours long. It's multiple parts. However, my favorite basketball documentary of all time. I already mentioned it earlier on the show. This Magic Moment, the story about the mid '90s Orlando Magic.
I hate you.
Hey, I left you. You left me with crumbs. You took all the good movies. So I'm taking This Magic Moment. If you haven't checked it out, it's on ESPN's app from 2016. A lot of Shaq, a lot of Penny, a lot of reminiscing about the 90s. It makes me want to cry every time I watch it.
It's the best. That scene in the beginning when they're like sitting there, like sitting around at the pool, and he's like, "We got a lot of questions." He's like, "What if you never get hurt?" And he's like, "What if you never leave?" It's like,
it's true. Yeah. It's true. And
what if you did ruin my childhood, Shaq?
And who was the manager of the team? Pat, was it Pat Williams?
Yeah, I think so.
Pat, one of those. Yeah, he's great in it. They have some really, really decent interviews from some of the people managing the club at the time and them getting really lucky in the draft and just how fun that was. Very, very cool doc.
That's super good. I was going to take that, but I went with our Redeem Team. All right. Round 7. Getting feisty here. Not to stick with the Netflix crowd here, but I'm going to go with Hustle, Adam Sandler. Oh, really good.
I forgot really about good. Hustle. You beat me to that one. Probably, I think,
shockingly good.
It was on my top 10 list last year, I believe. It was last year when it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, surprisingly, it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, so good, so good. I can't wait to see the next movie that he does with that group. He's that was a really, really straight-laced, fun Adam Sandler movie. I enjoyed and Sarah really liked it. My wife, she doesn't like those kind of movies, and she really enjoyed that movie. So
yeah, should we count Uncut Gems for this draft?
No, you can't. Okay. Otherwise it's the number one movie on the whole list.
Yeah, and I don't really feel I don't feel like I need to bring anxiety to the draft.
Oh, what a thrill ride that one is.
Yeah. Did not like it. Loved it, but did not like it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, damn it. I really wish I would have picked Hustle. You got that one on me, man. That wasn't even on my list, and it should have been. I just totally neglected to put that on there. You should kick me off of here.
Never.
I'm going to go with another documentary, another one that's probably one of my favorites of all time. I think it's one of the best 30. I think it's really the one that really just made 30 for 30 take off. Winning Time, Reggie Miller versus the New York
Knicks. So good.
So good. Another one, if you just want some 90s nostalgia and really dives into, I think a lot of younger people today don't know how great Reggie Miller really was. Mainly because he's not featured on any video games because he never signs away his likeness. But he was an absolute dog. I never wanted my Chicago Bulls to play him ever because he is the only player that ever scared me. Game 7 of the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. I was biting my nails, man. I was like, this is, I really did think I thought it was a real possibility. It's the only time I was like, this team could actually lose. And they damn near, I think they were 4 points better than them that game. I mean, it was bad. So great player. And him taking on the Knicks year after year, just a fascinating, fun story.
That's a good pick. That is a good pick for sure. I'm going to go, this is my shittiest movie on my list. This movie is hilarious. It's fun, but God, it is not a good movie at all.
Go for it.
The classic from Kevin Bacon, The Air Up There.
The Air Up There. I remember seeing that when I was younger.
And you never saw it again.
and I never saw it again. It was one that I never went back. That was a very popular comedy at the time, though.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it was like one of those movies you always saw people renting at the video store, and so many weird. The mid '90s just had so many weird movies like that one. But that's a good one. That's a good one to throw on your list. I respect that.
Oh man, I just like it's one of those ones was like, I know like I have fun with it, but there's no way I can sell it to people as like you should watch this. It's really good. There's just no chance.
Yeah. Where are we at? What round are we on?
My friend, we are now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in round 9.
We're in round 9. All right. Well, if you thought that your pick was just bad, I am going to ruin everything here with one of my favorite movies from 1995.
Oh.
I was 12. This is more of a nostalgia thing than anything. And I know you have Space Jam, and I watched this movie way more than I watched Space Jam, sadly. But I'm going to go ahead and throw it at you. It was a movie that sadly went direct to video.
Perfect.
And I'm going to go with the 1995 direct to video movie Slam Dunk Ernest.
Oh, I thought you were going to this at some point, just because I knew you so well.
I absolutely did. Ernest ends up, he's a janitor in the film with a bunch of other janitors in a mall. I believe the movie was shot in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
They are all on a basketball team together. They're all called the Clean Sweep. And I believe that Ernest is their, I think he's their, like their equipment guy or something. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar runs into him in a locker room. He's some sort of angel, and he gives him a pair of special shoes that make Ernest the best basketball player in the world. And it was post. I mean, like you look at peak Ernest. Peak Ernest was Ernest Goes to Jail. Like Ernest Goes to Jail made more money than any other Ernest movie. Then you had Ernest Scared Stupid, and then you had like Ernest Goes to School or some crap like that, and then you had Slam Dunk Ernest when the movies were not profitable enough to go to theaters anymore. So I'm taking that one. What a terrible movie.
It's pretty bad, but
It's
I like
pretty
it.
much it's the worst.
Yeah.
Pretty much the worst.
I want another documentary. Just because you're cleaning up on the 30 for 30s, I can't keep up with you there. I went with this More Than a Game, which is the story of LeBron's high school basketball team at St. Vincent St. Mary. And it's really, really good. It dives a lot into when he was actually had that very short ban from high school basketball before the state of Ohio was like, we can't ban this guy, right? Like he's going to be the #1 pick in the draft next year. That's not a good look for us. He's going to Cleveland. So, which is really what happened. But talks about how those guys all grew up together and how they all played together. It's awesome. It's super fun and gave us one of the greatest hip hop anthems of the last 15 years with Forever by Eminem, Drake, Lil Wayne, and Kanye West.
Okay. Nice choice.
We're in the last round, Shawnee.
We're in the last round. All right. Well, I'm going to be ending this one on a whimper.
Same.
And I'm
same.
You know, like I'm literally passing up some 30 for 30 documentaries for this one, but another one that I watched I was a big basketball movie guy in the 90s, and there, as you could tell with your picks and my picks, there was just a plethora of them.
Mm-hmm.
But a movie that is so incredibly terrible and stupid, but I love it because I loved Marlon Wayans at the time, and I'm taking The Sixth Man.
Dude, okay. So it's so funny you say this because I was like looking at that and Above the Rim.
Okay.
And I'm not taking Above the Rim. I found a better movie. But I was like enamored with Above the Rim because I love Tupac so much.
Yeah, he was in that.
But Sixth Man's really funny that you bring that up because it does kind of stink, but also it does have a lot of memorable moments. And it also kind of one of those weird cameo movies like Travis Ford former Kentucky point guard, is in the movie.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah, I'm just a really big fan of that movie. That one, what was the other? He had that movie, and then he came out with that movie, and what was the other one that he did around the same time? I always get that one confused with it. But hold on. Senseless.
Yeah,
That was another
Senseless.
one. It was him and Matthew Lillard and David Spade. So I always kind of get those a little bit confused, but big fan of both of those terrible Marlon Wayans movies. So that rounds out my 10.
Perfect. And I'm going to wrap up with my first 30 for 30 I'm taking in the last round. Shame on me. So you took the two best basketball ones, and they're not close. But I'm going to round out with what I think is the third. And also, it's like reran every 2 days, it feels like, on one of those 37 ESPN channels. I'm taking the Fab Five.
Oh, superb pick.
Yeah.
Superb pick.
The only flaw in that movie is obviously was when Chris Webber and Jalen Rose were not getting along, so Chris Webber's not in it.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Weird.
man, it's awesome. It's so good, and the story of how with all those dudes. I don't know. I feel like I went a little like Band of Brothers there the last 2 rounds. I liked it. Actually, that and the Redeem Team, I was kind of like, all right, yeah. I was kind of feeling there. But I think for us going 10 rounds on the fly, thought that was decent.
We're talking 10 rounds without Hoosiers.
Yeah.
And 10 rounds without Like Mike, which, let's be honest, was a complete and utter ripoff of Ernest or Slam Dunk Ernest. So
now you explain it. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's what it was.
Yep.
All right. So I'll round out the episode with the preview for next week's draft. And this is, I really wish Parker was here. And I know you'll appreciate this because of your fandom. So next week's starting 5, when we have the 3 of us back together, our all-time Kentucky Wildcats turned NBA player draft.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I know who I'm going to be picking number 1 on there.
Ron Mercer?
Close, but no.
Tony Delk?
Can't talk about it. I can't give away my secrets.
You can tell your cat, though.
I can tell my cat, Keanu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, next week I figure we have a lot of our Patreon subscribers who are in our basketball chat are huge Kentucky fans. So I thought they would get to enjoy this one. So perfect. Looking forward to it. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's edition of NBA Friday. Once again, brought to you by Riverfront U, brought to you by the Riverfront. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We definitely appreciate each and every week. Once again, if you're watching us for the first time, you are not subscribed on YouTube, now's the time to do so. We'd really appreciate it. But on behalf of Sean and Parker, I'm Tim Daniel. Have a good night, everyone. We will see you next week.